Thank you very much, Thomas Porteous, for joining us and sharing that insight. You will stay with us. Now we move on to our next news. In response to U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariff threat, China says the BRICS alliance is not seeking confrontation, stressing that the bloc, now expanded to include countries like Egypt and the UAE, remains committed to openness, inclusivity, and win-win cooperation. President Trump on Sunday warned of an additional 10% tariff on countries aligning with BRICS, accusing them of anti-Americanism after criticism at the recent summit in Rio de Janeiro. China's foreign ministry slammed President Trump's tariff threat, calling trade wars harmful and saying BRICS is for cooperation, not targeting any country. Let's listen in to what she has said.
金砖机制是新兴市场和发展中国家合作的重要平台，倡导开放包容、合作共赢，不搞阵营对抗，不针对任何国家。关于加征关税，中方已经多次阐明了立场：贸易战、关税战没有赢家，保护主义没有出路。刚刚我已经介绍了我们对金砖机制的一个看法，我们觉得金砖机制是国际上的一个积极力量。 金砖合作是开放包容的，不针对任何国家。那么至于关税，我们一贯反对搞关税战、贸易战，反对以关税作为胁迫、施压的工具。肆意的加征关税不符合任何一方的利益。
Now we're joined by Erin Watson for this discussion. She's a CEO and baker at Baker & York, joining us live from Melbourne. Thank you, Erin, for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. Is President Trump's 10% tariff threat likely to backfire by pushing BRICS countries to deepen their economic ties and dependence on U.S.?
Thank you very much.
I think you're, could you please?
I don't know what's going on with the, there we go.
Yes, I can hear you, yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. These are really interesting comments by President Trump, because it would appear that his foreign policy is to speak loudly and carry a very big stick, and that big stick is tariffs. And, you know, but what's on display here is something that lacks complete nuance. I mean, if you, as has already been mentioned, look at the BRICS membership. India is a member of BRICS. The US is aligned with India in the Quad, with Australia and Japan. Like what's going to happen at the Quad meeting later in the year? Like it just doesn't make any sense, these kinds of comments, and really lacks that that nuance around what's happening now in the Indo-Pacific region. But we know as Australia that you know what might be seen as essential for balancing the balance of power in the region. I mean, Trump has just recently announced a review of AUKUS, yet Australia is one of, or if not the US's most important security partner here. So look, I think that he's very loud and he comes up with these threats and he has something to say, but really the China perspective is a much more, you know, is the approach that we actually really need in the region, which is, you know, this is an inclusive forum, it's about cooperation, and that's what BRICS should be there to do.
And Erin, now looking at a broader picture, we know that there are new countries who have just recently joined BRICS. What could these escalating trade tensions mean for global markets and developing countries like UAE and Egypt who have recently joined BRICS?
Well, I think what's interesting is going to be the impact on the US economy and US consumers, because for a lot of these other countries, there's huge opportunity. I mean, whether you are going to be a second or a third country involved in supply chains so that countries can get around tariffs, whether it means that you actually have more opportunities as a result because of what's happening. So I think that it's the US market that we need to look at. We need to look at how it impacts consumers, and these results are all to be seen. But if you're sitting in one of these other countries, whether you have opportunities around manufacturing or whatever it is, if you can be a bit clever and a bit dynamic, you can actually use this to your benefit. We've seen Vietnam do that before previously, and works very well. So, you know, I'd be looking at it with an opportunistic lens if I was in any of those BRICS countries, and no doubt those conversations are happening.
Thank you, Erin. You will stay